Okay, so we are progressing through our word processing lessons, and we've come to this point in the curriculum where we have to learn how to format and create an unbound report. So that's what we're going to be talking about throughout this video. I'm going to teach you how to create and how to format an unbound report. Now, last week we did speak a lot about research reports, but it is important to know that not all reports that you do will require research. All right, so an unbound report is comparable to that of an essay. All right, so you can compare an unbound report to an essay, perhaps. All right, and there's a particular formatting techniques that I'm going to show you in this video. But before we get started, let's make sure that we name our document. So please come up to the top left, give your document a name so that it's easy to find whenever you need to submit it. Now you will have to copy these notes and submit these notes for a grade. All right, so let's begin. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to start by typing the title of our document, the title of our report, which is Formatting an Unbound Report. Now, this document serves two purposes. All right. One is it is notes for you to refer to. All right. So there's notes, and it is also going to be formatted as an actual unbound report would be formatted. All right. So I know it's kind of trippy, but it's going to be notes, and it's also going to be formatted as an unbound report. So starting with the title here, we're going to type that text. We want to make sure that it is in all caps, and we also want to make sure that we center it, and we also want to make sure that that text is bold. All right. Now, if you there's two ways that we can get this text in all caps. So you can press the caps lock key on your keyboard, or you can come up here to your ribbon where it says format and choose text and then choose capitalization, and you're able to select uppercase. All right. That way, if you didn't type it in all caps, you don't have to delete everything and instead just click that button there and it'll fix it for you. All right. So now that our title is typed and it is formatted correctly, we want to add a double space. So we're going to add a double space. To do that, I'm going to press enter twice. So 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, and we're going to align our cursor on the left margin. Now what we want to do is we want to make sure that our line spacing is set to double. So all of the text in our body will be double space. All right, so that's important to do as well. It makes it more legible. So we want to make sure that all of our text is double space. And let's begin formatting the body. So the first words that you see on the report is unbound reports. Now this is a side heading. That's what it's referred as, a side heading. So the paragraph following this heading is going to be about whatever the heading says. So this paragraph is about unbound reports. We want to make sure that it is on the left margin, and we also want to make sure that it is underlined. All right, because we're going to distinguish that particular text from the text of our paragraph and the text of our title. Notice how they don't look the same. All right, we want them to look different. All right, so that's our side heading. Next, we're going to type out our first paragraph. It says that an unbound report is a short report. Okay, so no more than about 1 to 3 pages, and it will not have any binders or folders. So those pages will not be held together with a binder or a folder. It's not necessary. It's not that big of a report. Now, if you're doing a report that exceeds 4 or 5 pages, then yes, of course, you can dress it up really nice, put it inside some kind of binding or folder, hole punch it, 3-hole punch it, and make it presentable. But in most instances, it's not necessary. Just hold it together with a paper clip or a staple, and you can submit it to whoever you need to submit it to. All right, so that's what an unbound report is. A short report, no more than about 1 to 3 pages, all right, and you will not need to put it in a binder of some sort or a folder. You don't have to bind those pages together real fancy like. Just throw a paper clip on it, staple it, submit it. Okay? All right, so for that paragraph, we also want to make sure that we indent. We want to make sure that you indent all of your paragraphs in your report. All right, we did discuss this before, but make sure you indent all of your paragraphs. And to do that, you're going to press the tab key on your keyboard to indent. Okay? All right, so moving on, let's talk about margins. So the word margins here is a side heading. We want to make sure that is underlined. All right, and we also want to indent that paragraph related to margins. Now, for the margins of our Unbound report, it's going to be simple. It's going to be 1 inch all around the page. Now, if you did not know, the margins are the spaces on the left and on the right and on the top and on the bottom of our document. Those are the margins. Now, I did say that the margins will have to be 1 inch all the way around, but if you did want to change margins, this is how you would do it. So you come up here to your ribbon, all right, you want to choose the File button, and you come down to where it says Page Setup. And notice how our margins here are all set at 1 inch. Our margins are all set at 1 inch. All right, and there's some other formatting features here, so you can change the orientation from portrait to landscape, depending on what you're working on. And you can also do as much as change the page color, which is really cool. All right, so now we have a purple page that we're working with. So let's continue. So those are our margins, 1 inch all the way around the document, left, right, top, and bottom, only 1 inch. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, so next let's talk about the title. Now, we did talk about this earlier as we created the title, but we want to make sure that this side heading is underlined, and we also want to make sure that the title paragraph is indented. Now, as we mentioned at the start of the video, the title is going to be in all caps. It's also going to be centered, and it will also have 2 spaces in between the title text and the body of the document. All right. Now, if there's a subtitle, for instance, it'll only be a single space. So, for example, we've got our main title here. So, if we had a subtitle, the subtitle would go there. So, single space, and that's just an example of how that would look. All right. So that's how we format our titles. All right, so for our titles, we want to make sure they're centered. We want to make sure that they're not double spaced. We want to make sure that they're bold, and we want to make sure that it is in all caps. All right, and there's also going to be 2 spaces in between the title and the body of the text. And as always, the actual content in the body of the report, we want to make sure that is double spaced as well. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about side headings. So the word side heading here is a side heading, and we want to make sure that that is underlined, and we also want to indent that paragraph. Now, as you can notice, all of our side headings are typed on the left margin, and they are underlined, and they are keyed in initial caps. And what initial caps means is that for every word in the phrase, the first letter is going to be capitalized. So the first letter of each word will be capitalized. That's what initial caps means. All right, so that was pretty simple. That's our side heading text there, and that's how you format a side heading. All right, so next let's move on to page numbers. Page numbers. So we want to, when you type that, make sure that you type it and make sure you underline it. Okay. All right, so I got to fix my line spacing there, make sure that is double. And let's also indent that paragraph. All right, we're going to indent that paragraph. Now for page numbers, it's important for you to remember that the first page of your report will never be numbered. That's just awkward. So an example of that would be like a page number being on the cover of a book. You would probably never see that. That would just be weird looking. All right, so the same thing applies to your reports. Page numbers do not usually go on the first page. All right, but every page after that will have a page number. All right, and the page numbers will appear or should go in the margin. All right, align to the right. And let me show you how to do that. So for example, to open up the top margin, you just want to double click. The header is what it's called. The top margin is the header, bottom margin is the footer. Okay, so open up the top margin and we'll go to where it says options. Click on options, click page numbers, and we have these options here. So notice it says show on first page. All right, show page numbers on first page. We do not want that. So we're going to make sure that is unchecked. Make sure that is unchecked. And then we're going to click apply. And notice how the first page of a report does not have page number. But if we add a second page, voila, page 2. Page 2 is there. All right, so that's how it would look. Just for a brief recap. So an unbound report is a short report, no more than 1 to 3 pages. All right, and it doesn't have to be held together with a binder or a folder or some kind of fancy binding. All right, just throw a paper clip on it and a staple and call it a day. All right, so that's what an unbound report is. Now, as far as the margins for an unbound report, just 1 inch all the way around the page. So the top margin, bottom margin, left and right, only 1 inch. And I did show you all how to change the margins. So just rewind and you can check that out. Now, as far as the titles are concerned, all right, all of our the title of our report will be at the top of the document. It's going to be centered in all caps. All right, and it's also going to be bold if you choose to have it bold. And yeah, centered, all caps, and bold. All right, and you also want to, if you have a subheading or a subtitle rather, you can just single space it. So the subtitle will go right underneath the main title, okay? And then double space it, so add 2 spaces below the title and where the body of the text will begin. Remember that the body, all of the information in the body of your report needs to be double spaced, okay? And let's talk about the side headings. The side headings are initial caps, meaning the first letter in each word will be capitalized. They will also be typed on the left margin and they will be underlined as well. All right, so that's how you type your side headings. As far as the page numbers are going to be in the top margin in the header section, and they're going to be aligned to the right. And remember, page numbers do not go on the first page. Page numbers do not go on the first page of your report. And I think that concludes this video. So if you have any questions, just get with me in class. And yeah, that's it. I hope you enjoy.